Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the Assemble 05 event. We'll be starting in just a moment. We'll just allow a few more people to join the call, and then we'll begin. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you once again for joining. We have a small number of people joining us, but thank you for taking the time to join us. I think everyone is suffering somewhat from webinar fatigue after over a year now. We're not going to probably take up the full 2 hours that this is set aside for today, but what we will go through, as usual, is an update on all the things that are happening within the UK and Ireland chapter of buildingSMART. So in terms of an agenda, I'm going to give this introduction and the update. We're going to run through a few room updates, the building room, product room, technical, infrastructure and rail, and the regulatory, actually, that one. In a slight change to the agenda, we also have a guest speaker today. So Frederic Grand will be joining us for a product room deep dive at the international level, and also a review of the summit that's just recently taken place. So we probably will be whizzing through this. There's plenty of time for questions and the summary at the end. We will be taking questions throughout the session, so if you do have any questions, by all means use the feature in the questions facility in GoToWebinar. Leave the chat for general chat and discussions and comments, but questions we will address at the end for anyone of the speakers that we've got in attendance. So, may as well carry on. Let's run through the updates. Oh, let's just skip right to the end. Okay, so we will go through as usual. We just need to keep reminding people of the buildingSMART UK and Ireland 4 Vs. So I think it's important that we reiterate these just so people are aware of what it is the chapter is intending to do and trying to achieve. First one being vast. We are intending on being a larger organisation than we have ever been. We feel the time is right now. There's a lot of discussion about digital, about interoperability, and this is where buildingSMART UK and Ireland really does come into play by taking the needs of the industry, becoming a connector to all the different sections of the industry and saying, what is it you need and can you get involved? And by that, we'll become a bigger membership and a bigger community of people. We also want to be vibrant, so we need to be active. There are lots of activities going on. When we are allowed in-person events, we will have those also. But activities digitally are equally as important. So engagement with all the different projects and rooms that are going on are absolutely vital to what we do. Speaking of vital, that's what we need to be. We need to make sure that what it is we're doing is actually relevant to the industry's needs, and making sure that we are providing the right information and we are gathering the right input from the industry to take up to international level. And then finally, we need to be valuable. All of these things don't just happen for the sake of them happening. We need them to be there so that we can ensure that we are providing value to the industry, to our members and to our corporate members, who also have a stake in the development of interoperability across the UK and Ireland and internationally also. So we do have keywords underneath each of these. We do want to be these things. If you want to be involved in any way whatsoever, that's what we're here for. All the committee members, and I'll go through in 1 second, offer their time for free to make this happen. We're all super enthusiastic about doing these things and engaging with you, the industry, to make it exactly what you want. So I will say a personal thank you again, because of those reasons, to all of the committee members, including the steering group that we have with Dan and Nick. There is a huge amount of work that goes on in the background, not only for arranging these events, these updates, but also the coordination of the rooms. And hopefully you'll see the amount of work that goes on throughout the rest of this year. We've done a significant amount of work already to plan those activities for the rest of this year. But all of the people on screen right now, you can see, you can contact through various social media channels or through LinkedIn, through our LinkedIn accounts, through Twitter and all the usual social media channels, or ask questions in here and make a connection afterwards. Also announcing, that we've had Nicoletta Boccanello join us, and she's going to be joining the committee, but finding out which room or which project she's going to be best fit for. So hopefully we'll have an introduction from her at the next assembly event. In our chapter updates, specifically to the UK and Ireland chapter, we have been through since Christmas a period of planning what it is we're going to be doing in terms of activities and tasks, and prioritising those of what we'd like to achieve within the next year. And those activities will be beginning in April, and making sure we're reaching those targets. One of them being reaching out and engaging with the UK BIM Alliance communities, reaching out into their specific areas and needs. And that work has already started. We've met with the communities leads and said, okay, which of our rooms are relevant to which of the BIM 4s as part of the communities, and we will engage with those at the relevant stages to make sure there's a discussion, a free-flowing discussion back and forth, to make sure their needs are heard, and that whatever buildingSMART International and buildingSMART UK and Ireland provide is meeting their needs. Other chapter updates we have on the far ends of both of these. This image, you see Marek, one of our committee members, and Phil Jackson on the left-hand side. Both have been re-elected to the Infrastructure Room Steering Committee. So they now join the other members you can see on screen, and a couple of others that are existing whose nominations weren't up for renewal this year. But we now have 2 UK and Ireland representatives in the Infrastructure Room Steering Committee at international level. So thank you to Phil for all of his work. He was an incumbent, so he was already on that committee, but he was re-nominated and re-voted in. And Marek, who will be a new member of the Infrastructure Steering Room Committee. The other thing we need to announce on an international level is that the buildingSMART Awards programme for this year is now open. The project categories are listed below, and the deadline is the 23rd of May. This is a great opportunity for anyone working with OpenBIM or IFC standards or COBie or whatever piece of software you're using to make interoperability work on your project. It is an opportunity to demonstrate and win an award for your particular project. We had an award winner in the, I think it was a technology segment from last year. So we do have another UK and Ireland winner. So hopefully that we'll have some of you guys submitting entries for this award, and we can have another UK winner for a third year running this year. This might seem like quite a short thing to do, but the amount of effort that goes on behind the scenes from our committee in the judging process is enormous. It is a huge amount of work to do, but it's really valuable for us because we get to see some amazing projects from all around the world, of things that people are doing that raises our eyebrows sometimes and makes us see what's possible, with whether it comes from the technology side, project delivery side, construction side of things. It's incredible the amount of work that's being done, and it really does give us a swell of understanding of what's going on and how we can start to improve within the UK and Ireland. If anyone is interested in seeing what's going on or what the winners were last year, the buildingSMART awards for last year, the 2020 awards, the yearbook has now been published. So if you go to the buildingSMART International website, you can find this document there just on the awards section, and you'll find the yearbook. It's free to download PDF, and you can have a look at the winners. There are other versions. I think all nominees are somewhere on the website also, so you can see the other projects that were nominated but didn't win, that didn't make it to the yearbook. But it's a really good, valuable read just to see what's going on around the world. Another announcement, this quarter, we've now had both Esri and Siemens join buildingSMART International as multinational members, and they have ticked the UK and Ireland box. And essentially what that means is that they really would like to engage with the UK and Ireland chapter. Now, one of our committee members, Trish Massey, has been elected as the Siemens representative. So she will be engaging with us on more than one direction, one from Siemens and one as a committee member, working within the product room. And Esri also, we've had an initial meeting with Esri to explore what their opportunities are for engagement with the UK and Ireland chapter. So really quite happy to have quite large organisations joining us as UK and Ireland company members. So moving on now, for anyone who doesn't know that's in the audience, buildingSMART International has a series of rooms, and this is where the work happens to create the standards, define the standards, and create new projects within those standards and where they're all created. In order to coordinate our UK and Ireland efforts, we've assigned our committee members as leads and co-leads. So you can see on the screen right now the people that we have involved, and we're going to have updates from the leads today, the ones with red ticks. Some of us aren't available, so we've had apologies from Lawrence, David and Marek. So we can't unfortunately have a rail or infrastructure update today. Oh, and also Tim and Asa, or construction updates. But we'll look forward to prioritising those at the next Assemble event, Assemble 6. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to James, who's going to give us a run through on the product room. I'll just make you the presenter, James.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Hopefully you can see my screen. If someone could just let me know.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. Morning, everyone. So as the introduction belies, yeah, this is an update of what's going on in the product room. So just to remind you, the coordinators are myself, James Blood, and Tricia Massey. I'm just going to move on. There we go. So a quick agenda of what I'll be covering today. We'll just remind you what the product room is and what does it do. just give you a brief update on recent activities, as a result of those, what our current objectives are, and then we'll provide some news stroke updates around what's going on in the UK landscape, followed by the international landscape, and we'll cover the opportunities that are out there for you, and we'll just remind you again who you need to contact to get involved. So the purpose of the product room is around giving us or developing everything we need to enable that interoperability and that robust and efficient exchange and use of product data, which is well traveled on its journey. It touches so many actors during the asset life cycle, so it's a bit of a big journey. So lots of exchanges, so interoperability and robust interoperability is key, especially if we're going to trust the data that we're consuming. So there's some key objectives that the product room has at the international level, heavily looking at data dictionaries, again looking at efficient use of product data in projects and asset management, and they're looking at executing projects around open BIM and facilitating translation and localization of IFC, which is obviously important for all the different regions. So in terms of what we've been up to, as Casey mentioned, we've started to engage now with the UK BIM Alliance Communities team. Myself and Trish met them under the working title of Supporting Digital Adoption in the Manufacturing Sector. So the objective of that initially was to identify all relevant groups or initiatives within the Alliance that had some form of connection with manufacturing or product data, and we came out of that meeting with a big long list of groups and initiatives. So there's a lot of people out there that we need to engage with. So our next steps along that journey is to connect with the leaders of those groups or initiatives so we can understand more about what they're about, where they're going, identify common aims and goals, so we can then talk about how we kind of rally together and help each other achieve those aims or those goals. And then we're going to widen that net to capture other initiatives and groups outside of the Alliance, but within the UK. So as Casey has said, we're here to connect UK industry with the international scene and share what's going on there into UK industry, but also, represent the interests of UK industry and the international level. So we need to start talking and engaging to see where those synergies are and where we can help support industry in their journey. So some of those groups that we've already identified outside of the Alliance, Trish is involved in a few of these initiatives already. There's obviously the information management framework, which we need to plug into. Notice that Henry Fenby-Taylor has just taken a role there, so we'll be reaching out to Henry to connect into the CDBB. Obviously, there's some PDT work that's been going on under CIBC for BIMHawk. Construction Innovation Hub are involved in a few initiatives. We've got the Golden Thread initiative that's being developed within the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government. And then there's the important digital network that's been established in the Construction Leadership Council that we need to plug in and support them in supporting manufacturers in making that digital transformation. Another one that Trish is involved in, that's something that we fully support, is an initiative that's come out from the IET, which is about a plain language guide to manufacturers about product data. And I think we need to engage around the simple concepts first and get everyone up to that level of understanding before we start to introduce potentially more technical and complicated subjects. So if you're not aware of these guys, please follow that link at the bottom of the slide and go and check it out, because it's great. There's been a series of discussions and then resultant blog pieces written, and there is a guide coming out later this year which specifically written for CEOs to help them understand what kind of changes they need to enact within their businesses. So yeah, thoroughly recommend manufacturers go and check out those guides. There's an initiative under the BSI around unique identification of occurrences of products to help with that unambiguous identification and traceability of products, where they've come from, you know, their performance, when they were tested, etc., and all those kind of things. So it's important. It's an important initiative you should be aware of. Lexicon has been going for some time now between the CPA and the Construction Innovation Hub. Trish was in a meeting a few days, I think it was last week now. So yeah, we're waiting for an update there to see what the next steps are. But they're obviously looking at managing that exchange of data and capturing those PDTs, product data templates. This is one to watch out for, the Marketing Integrity Group, which is a group formed by CPA. Yeah, they've just obviously released the code for construction product information, and there was a consultation around that initiative, which myself provided some comments back, I'm sure others did, around how that was looking, and I think we'll look to provide a response to that that initiative at some point later on in this year. We mentioned, obviously, previously mentioned the CLC Leadership Council and the digital network. We see this as a key strategic connection to help provide that support on the ground to manufacturers. So in the international landscape, and our speaker will go into more depth about this, we've just had our Spring Virtual Summit, International Summit, which was delivered under the strapline Building Asset Sustainability by Accelerating Open Digital Workflows. Check out that link at the bottom. In a couple of weeks, the videos will go up, so you can retrospectively catch up on some of those sessions, which cover all the rooms. Some of the subjects that were covered in the product room was around parameterized products, using doors, which is probably one of the most complicated representations that we'll have to make during our endeavors. There's something in there about using IFC to calculate embodied carbon using EPDs. And again, unique identification of products, which is a similar endeavor to the one I've just talked about with BSI Identify. So we need to watch out for that, see what the synergies are, see if they're converging or diverging, and understand which way to steer UK industry. And there's an update around the digital supply chain in the built environment initiative, which is worth checking out. So yeah, recommend when those videos are available, dig in and see what's relevant to you. So just like to kind of highlight that there are opportunities for the UK manufacturing sector. We're keen to hear from businesses you know, thinking about engaging in digital transformation or already involved in, because we'd like to have a chat, share what others are up to. As Casey said, we get good oversight of what's going on in the UK and around the world in terms of activities that other manufacturers are up to, or initiatives they're involved in, so we can share that knowledge and that insight with you, and then also we can look to help support you and introduce the concepts of open BIM and interoperability, so we can help to add value to any of your initiatives or programs that you've got on. So to reach out, please contact myself or Trish. You can do that on the Bazooka email at the top of that slide. You can get me via Twitter or Trisha via Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm sure Trisha is as well. She is, in fact. And check us out. And if you want any more information on the product room, there's a link at the bottom of that slide. Thank you, everyone. That's me.
Thank you very much, James. Great update. I'm going to hand over to Martin now, who's going to give us an update on the buildings and buildings room, and a little bit update on the technical. Martin, are you there?
Yeah. Hi. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Just forgot to turn on my my mic. Yeah. So yeah, buildings room first of all, and then I give a quick intro to the technical room. So the buildings room consists of myself and 3 other members, Mia, Alex, and Emma. We're hoping to grow this group. So this is, you know, we want to grow this group to a strong and vibrant sub-community of buildingSMART. We're interested in the buildings of the built environment. So homes, schools, hospitals, offices, museums, courts, etc., sports grounds, pretty much everything that is a building we are interested in, and we're interested in the whole life cycle from the concept all the way through to the design, the construction, and the final operation and maintenance and handover. So that's our remit, if you like, within the buildings room. We've had so far in our 2021 plan, we've had a brief meeting with the BIM4s, and we're looking to meet with the affiliates of UK BIM Alliance, and it's our intention to spring forward with this to create a workshop, which will probably still be a virtual workshop whilst this pandemic is carrying on, to try and get people to either contribute to the existing projects that are going on within the buildingSMART international level, and hopefully to create our own projects which actually meet the needs of the UK construction industry, and particularly with regard to the building sector, so we can take these projects on. There are a number of projects going on at the international level, and so far, because the group is fairly limited within ourselves, there is 3 key areas which we're interested in looking at now. This is the structural requirements side of the MVD. MVD is an acronym. Basically, it's a subset of the ISC, and the ISC being a schema for the built environment. So looking particularly at the structural requirements, the subset of the structural requirements. We're interested in looking at facilities and facilities management and handover phase, and also occupational movement and fire safety engineering. Those are the 3 topics that our subgroup of the buildings group are enthused to take forward, because we've each got personal interest in these areas. That's not to say that that's all we want to do, but there's only a few of us so far in this group, so we can actually take on more projects and contribute to more projects. there are much more projects happening at the international level. For example, looking at spatial zones, looking at, again, the subset of the IFC, looking at reinforcement, groups looking at DFMA and lean for manufacturers, and groups looking at the requirements for steel construction. And as I said before, what we really want to do is reach out to the community and find out, you know, what are the questions that keep you up at night? What are the things that need solving, and how can those be solved with Open BIM? And how can we help either adapt existing solutions that buildingSMART have, or create new projects to solve those problems? So really, this is a call to arms. Please get in touch at the email at the bottom, and you know, join us, and let's grow this into a vibrant subgroup looking at our side of the industry. So I guess that's the question: are the current projects at buildingSMART International that you, as somebody you know, may be interested in? Are the projects that you would like to see proposed? But also, is the guidance missing? Use cases, examples that you think we're missing, gaps we need to plug, and hopefully you're willing to assist us with plugging those gaps. So that's a quick canter through the buildings room, and I'll also give an update on the technical room as well. So I sit on the technical room with John Egan and myself. The technical room is a little bit different to the other rooms in the chapter. So, if you like, the main building, the main rooms, airports, railways, buildings, infrastructure, construction, product, and regulation, are very focused on practical issues that need to solve. You know, the questions that are being raised by the communities are solved and articulated within these rooms, and underneath those rooms then sits the technical room. The technical room is that supports these outward-facing rooms with the technical information. And I guess this is a key point. If you're worried about joining one of the rooms, airports, railways, buildings, infrastructure, construction, product, regulations, you don't need to be an expert in the IFC to do that. You just need to be passionate about how open data can actually solve the problems. The technical room is there to provide you with all the technical support that you may need to help you know, turn that problem into a solution using the suite of products that are out there within buildingSMART. So the technical room sits underneath those rooms and provides them with technical support. They do have their own projects, mostly with ongoing and maintenance and enhancement of the standards. There's a move to look at where IFC is going beyond the current implementation of IFC 4. There's a project to start looking at where that's going to move forward in terms of the technology for IFC 5, but that's in its sort of infancy at the moment. So nothing's going to happen with the IFC 4 for a while yet. Nothing's going to happen to replace the IFC 4 or evolve it into IFC 5 for a while yet. So don't worry about that. The implementation support group, the model support group to develop and maintain, improve buildingSMART data model standards, software certification group, and IFC doc. The linked data working group, digital twins, and the information delivery manual toolkit. This is information delivery manual is the human readable process maps that fit into and help articulate the problem so that it can be solved using the technical side. So the technical room has got a series of projects of their own, but primarily we're there to help support the other rooms with their technical requirements. again, would love to grow this group and get it into another vibrant subgroup. So if these sorts of projects really appeal to you, then please get in touch, let me or John know, and help grow this community and help be part of the providing solutions to the industry. Okay, so that's a quick wrap up of the buildings room and the technical room. So I'll hand back over to Casey.
Thanks very much, Martin. As Martin said, and it goes for all of the rooms, if anyone wants to get involved or anyone has a question, anyone has a need, that's exactly what the UK and Ireland chapter are here for. So please do get in touch either via this session or afterwards via any of our social media accounts. Okay, thank you, Martin. I'm going to hand over now to Nick, who's going to give us an update on the regulatory rooms. Nick, are you there?
I am.
Excellent. The screen is yours.
Very nearly. Okay. Give me a thumbs up. You seeing that?
Yes,
Yeah.
we see that.
Good. Okay. Okay, I'd like to update you about the regulatory room. The regulatory room is a bit different to many of the other rooms in buildingSMART at the international level and at the UK level, in the sense that it's about what do other people think of the BIM information we're producing. And so we're very interested in standards that go beyond the contractual relationships and become best practice within countries as a whole. So I'd like to talk about, first of all, the spring conference that's just completed, and then I'll talk about some of the equivalent activities that are happening in the UK. So in the spring conference, and as has already been said, these presentations will be available shortly. I haven't checked. We did 3 sessions on the regulatory room, an introduction to the regulatory room, and a look at a survey we carried out. We did a session on regulatory information requirements, which I'll fill you in on, but essentially it's a new project. And then every time we have a summit, we have a show and tell session where we allow people to update the community about the projects that are happening within their countries or their research groups or whatever. Okay, so at the UK level, we have the group BIM for Health and Safety, and they are now well, they supported the development of PAS 1192 Part 6, and in a couple of months ago, it was agreed that that PAS should be taken forward as an ISO. So we've made a new work item proposal to the international community, giving them the text of PAS 1192 Part 6, and so there will be a voting process starting very soon to agree that project. And pleased to say that Zain Ulhak from Atkins and is going to lead that project over the next 2 years if it gets the go ahead. Casey's already mentioned, pardon me, the golden thread, and I think again this is very relevant to buildingSMART, because for the first time in the UK there will be an outside interest in the quality of the information held about assets, and there are many working groups where buildingSMART is well represented, looking at how best to help the industry transition from a situation of inward closure to being open and interoperable. And finally, there's the DCOM projects, which I've mentioned before, but are now well underway. So let's look at some of those in detail, if I may. In the introduction to the regulatory room, we emphasised that the room is a kind of, it's an open space, and it's pre-standardisation. It's looking at what's needed to get the industry ready, and if there are any standards that are needed, then we turn it into a project proposal. So as part of that, groundwork, we've carried out a survey, and I think for the first time for buildingSMART, we had a policy to get the survey translated into multiple languages. And that, I think, had a transformational effect. And in fact, we had more responses from the Spanish-speaking world than we did from the English-speaking world. We also got feedback from Japan, Germany, and Italy. But 160 responses is quite a good achievement. And essentially, we were looking to take the temperature of attitudes to the involvement of BIM in the regulatory environment, and in particular, open standards. I'll highlight one result, which was that in response to the question, are the regulations or institutional recommendations to use BIM in the regulatory process? We were getting perhaps 42% of respondents saying yes, but a further 33% were saying not yet, but the debate is happening. And you can break that down across the globe. But I think that's a significant change in the last few years, that the propagation of the BIM processes that the UK initiated is now having an impact on the wider regulatory regimes and the communities. And we were able to break that down into both regulators and regulated individuals and so on. So if you want to know more, the report will be up, or the session will be up. But I think there's a sea change, and more generally, we are making contact with government bodies within buildingSMART, and indeed the Estonian government has joined the buildingSMART board because of their interest in regulatory reform and using BIM. The second thing I mentioned was the regulatory information requirements. Those of you who are familiar with ISO 19650 will have got used to the range of information requirements that are specified within appointed relationships. The regulatory room is now proposing a new work item at an international level to look at what information is needed to support compliance checking, both well, obviously starting with manual and supporting information, and then assisted checking, and with the ultimate aim of automated compliance. And so we are expecting to get support from some Nordic countries. We've had interest from China and from Italy, and we've had, and I hope that we will get one or other of the UK bodies to support the project, with the aim of improving the IFC property sets as a bottom line, to make sure that the core project information identification is within the building model, and such matters as zones and systems clearly identified. And then we'll look at really two use cases, life safety and building performance, to say, are there international commonalities of what information should be collected? Although we know that locally the use of that information and maybe the coding in the and classifications may be different, but I think there is an opportunity to do that. And if anyone would like to support that activity in the UK, then there will be, well, here's the diagram. There will be a stakeholder group from people who state interest. There will be a steering group to action the project, and an editorial group led by the project leader to create the deliverables. We have an 18-month timeline. We want to have liaisons with other activities within buildingSMART and a number of other bodies, including ISO and CEN, if they respond with interest. So that will or should fill in some gaps and offer a platform for many more countries to get involved with supporting compliance processes using BIM. In the show and tell, we had presentations from China and Italy and Estonia and Finland and the Netherlands, and also from a European group called the European Network for Digital Building Permits. And I represented activity in the UK talking about the DCOM projects and what they hope to achieve. So there are in the UK, there are 2 DCOM projects. They both build off the DCOM network, which was founded 2.5 years ago, and made recommendations which government accepted. And so we have a DCOM project sponsored by the Construction Innovation Hub, looking at the components that government would need to support digital compliance. And they're highlighted in blue. And that would include making the regulations available on a server in a machine readable and human readable form, the same thing being readable to both, and a reference rule engine that would be able to consume that information and give assessments. The other project is DCOM, sponsored by Innovate UK, which is the industry wing of government, the industry research and development wing of government. And they are looking at the tools that the supply side, the information providers, the clients, the designers, the contractors, the building owners, including the looking at how model servers can support this, and how you can set up a case where a case is bringing together a certain building models with certain regulations as a challenge to the rule engine or whatever. And these projects have the involvement of Cardiff University and Celebri and my own company. And we're confident that within 18 months, we will be able to demonstrate what the future would look like. So this it's not proof of concept, it's industrial readiness, with the hope that then 2 years beyond that, we will have this available in the UK. Oops, pardon me. Let's get it back. Okay. I should also mention that we have the engagement of Cero, which is a low energy housing developer, and Passive Systems, who are their energy experts, as providing a set of test cases and challenges for us. And we have Highways England making sure that this isn't purely a building orientated problem, that we are looking at any compliance problem or regulatory compliance problem as we go along. Both projects are founded on the RAISE methodology, the marking up of existing regulations to make their meaning accessible to computing, and you can see an example here. So there is activity. I have to say that a lot of the activity is probably within the golden thread arena at the moment, and we hope that by the end of the summer we will be able to start indicating to industry what that vision is. So now might be a good time to get involved with the regulatory room and the DCOM network, because these are the shape of things to come in the not very distant future. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Nick. As always, it's really great to see what it is we're doing with BIM and open data finally hitting ground in various different aspects of what we do in our industry, and regulatory compliance is one of those big topics right now, specifically in the UK and Ireland. Okay, we'll hand over to John now, who has joined us to give us a quick update. John, you are now a presenter.
Thank you. Okay. Hi everyone. This is John Egan from BIM. Oops, sorry. From BIM Launcher speaking. I am the technical room lead along with Martin. So this is going to be a quick update on the technical room. So I'm calling it Technical Room Update Part 2. So I'd like to thank Martin for giving the broad update in his presentation. This particular presentation will be focused on the activities of the OpenCDE API workgroup activity. So to begin with, I just want to give an overview of our purpose. And as we know, when exchanging information between solutions that make up the common data environment, there's a lot of manual work involved. So much so that contractors and different stakeholders take it upon themselves to build custom integrations which are cost prohibitive considering the project scope of development, and more often than not what ends up happening is the integration solution is never put in place because of the cost of building a custom solution. And what we're trying, and I suppose the challenge with that is that there's so many solutions on the market that, you know, it presents a really difficult challenge that is often overcome with manual methods. And the purpose of our group is to build technology solutions that would enable the efficient exchange of this information between solutions. So we are a group of vendors working in the space that is working together to build a set of technologies based around, you know, making the efficiency or improving the efficiency of information exchange between common data or solutions that make up the common data environment. So the way that we are tackling this is by developing a set of open protocols for accessing APIs, you know, authenticating, authorizing against different solutions, and standardizing conventions for the connections between different solutions. And then we are also on the top here, we're also standardizing the data models representing different types of information that's exchanged between different CDE solutions. So firstly, we've focused on the BCF, so that focuses specifically on design issues. But next we are looking at the development of data models around the exchange of documents, and furthermore into the space where we will be exchanging object-based information between these cloud providers. So in terms of where we're at and what we've been doing for the last, I suppose, 2 quarters, we've been focusing primarily on the standardization of the issues API, so the BCF project, and we have also split the BCF and the Foundations API into 2 discrete projects. Obviously, the Foundations API will then be the basis for the development of the for the Documents API moving forward. So over the last 3 months, we've completed the implementation and refinement of the BCF 3.0. And what we have to do now is create a project proposal for BSI to formally submit BCF 3.0 release candidate for approval. And over the next 6 months, we will be working solely on the Documents API. So in the next December, I expect to have some updates on where we're at with that, along with information around our approach to the development of that, and also how we think the Foundations API will develop to accommodate this new use case of exchanging documents between different solutions. So to get involved, we have fortnightly meetings, each at 10 a.m. GMT on a Monday, that is. So we've hackathons twice a year and focus groups as needed. All of the work that we do is open source. It's on GitHub under the buildingSMART organization there. And if you'd like more information, you can either contact the OpenCDE at buildingsmart.org or the BS UKI at buildingsmart.org. And if you want to contact me directly, I'm on Twitter. My handle is _John Egan, and I'm also on Clubhouse. I'm _ John Egan, and we also have a club on Clubhouse talking about architecture, engineering, construction, innovation, and that you can find that at AEC Hive. So that's me. Yeah, thanks for your attention.
Yes, it's me on mute again. Sorry about that. Right, okay, thank you, John. Now I'm going to hand over to our guest speaker, Frederick, who can walk us through a bit more detail what's happening at international level in the product room, and a bit of an overview of the summit that was last week. Over to you, Fred.
Thank you. Hello. I will try to share my screen. Yeah. Can you see it?
No, not yet, Fred.
Oh, not yet.
Well, it's saying it's sharing, but nothing happens.
Yeah, I can see that now.
You can see your desktop.
Yeah, we've got presenter view.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, easy. Sorry about that. So yeah, I'm Frederick Grand. I'm from buildingSMART France. I'm the technical director of buildingSMART France, and I'm also the new product manager of the buildingSMART data dictionary for buildingSMART International. And Tricia just asked me to give you a quick update about the product room and what has happened the last 2 weeks, especially in the summit, and maybe some other small things about buildingSMART International. I will skip, I think, the slide. You already addressed this today, but I just wanted to emphasize that that's always bigger and bigger summits, even if they are virtual. and we have more than 1,000 people attending this meeting. So that's quite impressive. And we have specifically 5 product room sessions. Some key points on those sessions really quickly. Product room session 1 was from Gruner. That was a really interesting one because that's let's say real life presentations. Gruner, they have spent time implementing tendering processes. They are really keen about having the right standards to do that. Really important for them to be able to separate what they call 3D drawings from the data. The data is a really important part they need to address in this tendering process, and they have a lot of pains, let's say, regarding that, because they have to deal with a lot of different softwares, a large number of models, and for them being able to manage the semantic, to manage the data, the properties around that is really a key point. So that's something they really want to address, and that's also the same. They just don't talk about softwares, but also CDE solutions. Yeah, that they have many CDE solutions when they want to work on this tendering processes, and that's a lot of developments they have to do to be able to be compliant with all those solutions. So that was the first part presented by Emmanuel Frey about Gruner implementation of that. And in the same session, we had someone from Sing Project who explained us maybe more technically how they address this specific topic, being able to integrate all the different partial models I have to be able to have a kind of single source of truth to do the scheduling, the test management, and he explained also how they integrate 4D modeling. The idea is here to manage, to be able to manage the progress of a project. And again, their major pain was this list of really different CDE solutions and how to address that. And I think that's quietly connected to the presentation just before mine about this open API solution. As soon as this kind of APIs will be available, then it will be much more easier to have a standardized way of adding some content and getting access to this content. So that was about product room 1. Product room 2 was more about information for parametric products, and that was interesting because the example taken by Thomas Rohner for the University of Bern was about DOORS. And well, usually we are saying that DOORS, that's something really simple, and in fact when you start to describe the DOORS with all the data you need to describe a door, and to come from a really simple way of describing it, I'm talking about level of information needs there, to a really manufactured door. That's a lot of work to be able to do that. And his goal is to be able to connect that to the manufacturer PIM systems, which is exactly the best solution to do that. And Thomas was hoping to have a kind of standardized what he called master data management. We can also call it a universal classification for construction. And there was an activity proposal within the product room about it, but in the steering committee we decided to decline it, just because we think that's a kind of impossible to have this universal construction data model. We have uniclass, we have omniclass, we have NLSFB, we have co-class, many classifications. We have some national specific regulation. So it may be difficult to be able to achieve this goal, but we have tools to make the compliance between all those classifications possible, and the connection with IFC. I'll come back to that later on. So yeah, that was his first point. Second one was, I think, what we all want to be removed, even if it will not happen really soon, but to be able to replace Excel spreadsheets with property descriptions about the products. And his other pain point was he thinks that IFC is too complex and too geometry oriented. Well, we all have our own thoughts about IFC. I'm not sure that IFC is too complex, but of course it has to be connected to other way of describing the data, like dictionaries, and then being able to have catalogs from manufacturers with product and system described, following those dictionaries and following IFC in the geometrical part. Next session was Protocol 3. It was a presentation from Stabu, Radboud Bayern from Stabu, who is really well known in buildingSMART International because he's been working in buildingSMART data dictionary for many years. And he made this presentation with Ariska, which is from the Schiphol airport. And what they need is to be able to map their national classification, which is called NLSFB, to the IFC classes. Well, to be able to classify things when you have a BIM model with an IFC wall, for example, you want to be able to put a classification number next to it, and that's what they try to achieve with this presentation and this collaboration. And well, that's where I can talk a little bit to you about the buildingSMART data dictionary. Well, this slide is just for Trish because she's been so much involved in this ISO 23386 standard, and well, she's a kind of her baby, let's say. And BSD has been remade last year to be able to address the need of this new ISO standard. So we have some, that's always about semantic and meanings, and that's where Dan Rossiter may be interested in this kind of slides also. In ISO 23386, we are talking about dictionaries, we are talking about properties, and we are talking about groups of properties. And in BSDD, we are talking about domain, properties, well, easy, and classifications. In fact, that's exactly matching terms, just a different way to call them. And in 386, we have a kind of list of metadata to attach to properties and to groups of properties to be able to define them clearly. So saying that the definition of a property is not just a name and a textual description, but it can be also a data type, dimension, and these kind of things. And BSDD, in fact, implements exactly that. So we are able to provide description in a dictionary. And why I'm saying that, that's because, yeah, we are here to the topic addressed by Stabu. They have their NLSFB classification, and inside these classifications, they have a classification code, which is 22.21, which is interior wall. And in IFC, no interior wall. But you have IFC wall, then you have a property set, which is pset wall common. It does not appear in this slide, but that's the way it works right now. And then in this property set, you have two properties which are load bearing and is external. Each of those properties are Boolean value, well, can be true or false for each one. And NLSFB, in fact, it's load bearing interior wall. So in real life, it's just impossible to connect this classification code to an IFC. But in fact, with BSDD, what we are able to provide is to make to add properties load bearing and is external to this classification code 22.21 by saying interior wall in NLSFB, sorry, as a property load bearing coming from the IFC domain with the value true. And it has a property is external coming from IFC domain, but with the value false. And then at the end, BSDD allows us to say that the code 22.21 interior wall is connected to IFC wall when the property load bearing equal true and is external equal false. So that's the way of connecting things and mapping things in BSDD, and that's what they do achieve in this NLSFB project, connecting classification code from NLSFB to the IFC schema. And that's really, really interesting what can be done after that with it. Let's think about kind of automatic classification. I'm receiving a BIM model, and then by pressing a button, I can find the right NLSFB code which is corresponding. Next session was Product Room 4, led by Hans-Willy Schmidt. And the topic was about environmental impact and how to reduce it by using BIM. So here we talked mainly about sustainability, reuse of products and materials, and the fact that in this case, it's really, really crucial to be able to have all the information in an early stage. And the problem is that architects and then plan from large scale. But if you want to know the building performance, that's an aggregation of really small scales, specific product performance, and then you have the system performance, and then point by point you will have the building performance. So that was a really interesting assertion saying that this information must be available in early stage phase in a construction process. So that was about PR4. In PR5, that was mostly a discussion about the connections that we have to improve between the buildingSMART International Product Room and the DCIB, Digital Supply Chain in Built Environment. I know that Tricia and some of you are already in those working groups. This initiative connected to GS1 standards is really, really important to be able to follow what happens with product in the whole life cycle, thinking about all this JETIN and GS1 standard to identify and track products. So I think this GS1 and DCIB working group, that's something really important, and we will focus a lot on it in the following weeks or months to have a close collaboration on that. Something really quick on the buildingSMART Data Dictionary Hackathon. We had a specific session the 3rd and 4th of March, which was dedicated to software vendors. And the way was to show them, here is BSDD, here is the content we have inside. We have IFC 4.3, we have the NLSFB classification, we have the CCI classification, many other domains. It would be nice for you to connect your softwares to those. And that was really interesting. After this hackathon, we have 10 demos of people and software vendors showing they were able to connect to BSDD. And so we had many different use cases. Let's say I want to create exchange requirements. Then I'm connecting to BSDD, sorry, and bringing back the properties I want to have in my model. Then we have a demo from Neanex, who created a connector to Revit to get the content from BSDD. We have a BIM platform connected also to BSDD and bringing back classification codes or adding properties to a model. That was bimdata.io. We had Aka Software presenting also the connection from all their BIM tools to BSDD and bringing back information. Then we have had a nice presentation from Autodesk, who is working on a BSDD connector, but not in Revit, directly in Autodesk Forge. So they are getting back domains from BSDD, push them in Forge, and then from Revit you can access to those Forge definitions and properties. And the idea is to make all other Autodesk softwares being able to connect to those semantics by using Forge. And then I was talking about several use cases. That's because someone presented something which is called IFC Validator. The idea is, well, you upload the BIM model, an IFC file, into this tool, and then it's connecting to BSDD, and it's checking the percentage of properties that are filled in for each of the IFC classes. So it's just checking the property set needed for each of the IFC entities, and it's just giving back. This one is present in the model, this one has been filled with value, and these kind of things. So that's really an interesting use case of BSDD, which has been shown. And just for your information, this IFC validator is already available on the Microsoft Store for free. So if you have a Windows computer, you can download it and try it now. That's completely free. Something else I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you have talked about it this morning, that's the use case management tool. That's a service operated by buildingSMART International. The address is ucm.buildingsmart.org, and well, that's a placeholder to collect and manage use cases for the global community. So that's just a website where you can create your use cases in a standardized way, and following the correct ISO standard like IDM and hopefully soon the level of information needs standard. And yeah, that's my last slide. I hope I haven't been too long. That's some key point I just want to bring back as a wrap up. Well, what are the main points addressed right now? That's a personal vision. That's but sustainability and low carbon, that's a really important topic in my mind, and that's highly connected to the presentation of Nick earlier and the regulatory room. If you want to address sustainability and building performance, then you have to go to regulations and to know exactly what is needed, what data is needed for a building and for its components. So that's, in my mind, at least, highly related to that. And I think you should have a close look to what Nick is doing in the regulatory room. Second key point is digital twins. Well, that's maybe two buzzwords we hear everywhere we go, but that's something really important, and we have to address this topic. Third one, I quickly addressed it. That's the DCOM working group. Sorry for the misspelling about the last E. That's a group we have really to be involved in it, especially manufacturers. That's a really important one. In the previous presentation, we have been listening to BCF and CDE API, and I think that's also a crucial point to have this kind of services and technology in place. And just two projects, but that's two of them, but we have many projects in buildingSMART. But I think back to building performance, the project IDM for building energy modeling is a really important one to follow. And also the buildingSMART project facility management handover, which can be of huge interest, I guess, specifically in UK. And sorry for listening to me. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you to have given me the opportunity to present you this.
Okay, thanks, Fred. Very interesting. I think if anyone's got any questions, there haven't been any questions yet. But if anyone does have any questions, feel free to type them in the questions tool. If there aren't any questions in a minute or so, then we'll call an end to this session. But thank you very much for joining. I hope you've all found something valuable. And again, the main reason and purpose for these assemble events is for everyone to understand and have an update on the activities that are going on within buildingSMART UK and Ireland, and to encourage you all to engage in whatever way you see fit. Ask a question, ask to speak to one of us, whatever it happens to be. we're here to serve you guys and make sure we can take your needs and requirements up to buildingSMART International. There are still no questions that have come in, so with that, I'll draw an end to today's session. Thank you very much for joining, and we'll see you all in the next Assemble event, or perhaps in the UK BIM Alliance forum this afternoon. But have a good day and see you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.